Hi everybody, welcome back. Thanks for joining me for another royal news video. So we've got lots of stuff happening this week. We've also got tonight another TV show with Harry making digs at his family. Shocker, said absolutely nobody. I will be talking about that more later on in the video. We're going to start off this one, however, talking about the new financials that have been released regarding the royal family and the fact that we, as I keep bringing up, we've got certain media outlets that try and vilify the royal family despite how much money they actually bring to the economy in the UK. We'll start off with Prince William, who earned 30 million from his Duchy of Cornwall. This is the first year that he has run it completely with WhatsApp messages, so we've been hearing in the news. And this particular duchy is for the Prince of Wales, for the heir to the throne. You've got the Duchy of Lancaster, which is run by the King. It was obviously Queen Elizabeth, and then when she passed, they all moved up. So the King has got the Duchy of Lancaster and Prince William has the Duchy of Cornwall. Now, I'm going to give you just a teeny tiny bit of an explanation for those of you that don't know. This is how it was explained to me. The Duchy of Lancaster is one of two private royal estates, the Duchy of Cornwall being the other, and it provides a private income to the Duke of Cornwall, which of course is Prince William. It is a title held by the monarch's eldest son, previously held by the King himself. The Duchy of Lancaster is the private income for the monarch, now obviously being King Charles, having been previously held by Queen Elizabeth. The private income is for them to spend how they see fit. The two duchies have vast properties and land that generate their yearly income. Historically, a deal was made between Parliament and King George III that the two crown estates would remain private estates for the monarch and the heir apparent. This was to ensure that they both had a private income, separate from the government, separate from taxpayers' money, and it would allow them to remain independent and safe from being coerced by any particular government. The money is used to support their families. The Duchy of Cornwall, Prince William spends on his wife and his children, and the King, he then spends the Duchy of Lancaster on obviously the rest of the family, with one or two exceptions because we had two of them flee for their lives and one of them is still in a little bit of trouble. Now, I'd like to point out that the King and Prince William do pay taxes on their earnings, and another thing they like to leave out is they don't have to pay tax. Yes, I know that will baffle some of you. They do not have to, but they willingly do so. I'm not expecting people to give them a round of applause for doing this, but come on, think about it. How many rich elitist people that have got offshore accounts that do absolutely everything to not pay a penny in taxes for their earnings? The King, the Queen before him, and Prince William choose to do so. A minor detail that these reporters like to leave out when they are trying to write headline-grabbing articles to anger members of the public. One of the ones that made me laugh was Kate Manzi. She came out with that the royal family have got 2 new helicopters, and she added in an extra line to say the new purchases were in despite of the royal family's green push. Oh, that's a nice little dig. But what she left out of that was the 2 new helicopters replace the 2 old helicopters. These now run on sustainable fuel, reducing the royal family's carbon footprint. This was one of many articles that came out to do with certain areas of money being spent on the royals that I won't go into because to be honest with you, it's a little bit boring, it's a little bit predictable, and it's a little bit biased, trying to upset the public. So we're all outraged that last year we all had to pay 77p to go towards the royal family, which is absolutely ridiculous when you think that the royal family bring in 1.7 billion to the UK's economy. Now that is just standard. Plus, when you think of the Jubilee celebrations, you had the King's coronation, any sort of royal wedding, you've got Trooping the Colour, any big event where we've got a lot of pomp, a lot of ceremony, millions and millions come into the UK's economy because of people fly over from all around the world. Tourism, from the hotels, from the travel, from the restaurants. It's a massive, massive spike. Now, if we got rid of our royal family and just turned all of the palaces into museums, of course, people would still come from all over to go to the museums, but the sort of money that the royal family bring in would gradually dwindle. Now, let's also take into account Catherine, the Catherine effect. She even so much as wears something that we've not seen. And it not only sells out, it brings millions again into the UK fashion industry. And you go, well, fashion, it's jobs. It's jobs for people. And recently, when she appeared at Wimbledon, was no exception. She was wearing that purple dress, which is by London-based designer Safia. And because she wore that, they had $4.8 million in media exposure. That sort of advertising people can only dream of. It's incredible. And obviously Catherine with the children, the same is beginning to happen when we see Princess Charlotte out in a new dress. The same thing is happening. The royal family bring in so much money, plus they raise so much money to go towards charities, organisations. They do good things in this country. Yet every single year the media rubs their hands with glee and are like, oh, what can we dissect them for? What can we trash them for this year? And they seem to forget all of the good things that the royal family do actually bring to this country. Now, speaking of the brand Safia, the Princess of Wales isn't the only member of the royal family to have been photographed wearing one of their dresses recently. We have someone who I don't often talk about, and that is Fergie, Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York. She made an appearance at the Knight's Charity Gala on Monday in Cannes, France. And I've got to say, it's one of her best looks. Apparently the dress code was old Hollywood style glamour. Well, she nailed it. Whether she's been taking tips off of her daughter, Princess Beatrice, I don't know. But from head to toe, I think Fergie looked absolutely fabulous. As for the charity gala, Fergie actually helped raise €100,000 to go towards a good cause by offering up herself. Now keep your mind out of the gutter. The winning bidder gets to have an evening of entertainment hosted by the Duchess herself, potentially at a destination of their choosing, or maybe even at the Royal Lodge. Now, there we were talking about expenses a moment ago. The Royal Lodge is becoming a bone of contention for the king, as is his middle brother. Obviously, Prince Andrew resides there. The home used to be lived in by the Queen Mother, but Andrew and Fergie have resided there together since 2008, despite being divorced, with Andrew moving in originally in 2004 with Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie. Now, the reason why the king has got a bee in his bonnet over this is because Andrew no longer has any sort of income because, well, we know why, because of the big scandal. Andrew now only lives off of the money, which I'm sure is pretty big, but inheritance and the money that he'd earned previously. Now, the king doesn't want to keep paying out for Royal Lodge, which needs a lot of staff to run it. It needs a lot of upkeep, a lot of repairs. Beatrice and Eugenie are now married. They've got their children. They have moved out. Why does Andrew need to live in a 30-room residence that's got 6 lodge cottages attached to it and a gardener's cottage? I mean, seriously, how big is Andrew's teddy bear collection these days? Grandiose entitlement runs very strong, I would say, in second sons in that family. We obviously skipped a generation when the fact that the Queen obviously didn't have a brother because she had then just her and Princess Margaret. But we saw this, didn't we, with King Edward, who was briefly king until he did a runner for an American divorcee, because that's worked out well historically. And then, of course, you've got Andrew and then his nephew, obviously Harry. Andrew and Harry both seem to have a lot in common, and I would say that they both definitely have an astonishing ability to take on no accountability or responsibility for any of their actions and decisions. It always seems to be unfair and someone else's fault. Now, obviously tonight, as I said, Harry is appearing again. And what does Harry do whenever he's got an opportunity to talk about one of his woes in life, this being the court case and the phone hacking? Well, we know he's going to bring up Diana. That is an absolute given. We know that he's going to blame the evil media, and we also know, predictably, that he's going to use the opportunity to make swipes at his family, and he didn't disappoint on any of those. ITV have released some clips to wet everybody's whistle for the excitement of the show tonight. As I said, I'll be watching it so you don't have to. All I can say about the snippets that I've seen, I think I'm going to be reaching for the Advil later on tonight. If you thought that his gaslighting was bad when he sat in front of Tom Bradby as part of his book tour, when he said to Tom, "I never called my family racist. Did you hear me say that, Tom? Did you ever hear Meghan say those words?" And you can see Tom Bradby's brain like it was gonna explode, because we all know that's what Harry and Meghan definitely implied. They treated Meghan badly. It was because of her race. They treated Archie different. They were going to change the laws, not give him a prince title, not give him security, because he was going to be a biracial baby. And as Oprah said, there were concerns about how brown his skin might be. And Meghan innocently responded, "If that's the assumption that you would like to make, I'm not going to say otherwise." I mean, I'm pretty certain that does come down to racism. They can call it biased or unbiased or whatever bollocks they came out with. They made it very clear that they were accusing the royal family of racism. They kept their mouths shut recently when Omid Scobie said the royal racist was the King and Catherine. Harry and Meghan have heavily implied, just without using the exact words. And they did that so they put a blanket of racism all over every single member of the royal family, and the Queen and Prince Philip went to their graves with that still overhanging their heads. It was only after they passed that Harry tried to turn around and say, "Oh no, my family aren't racist." Well done, Harry. 3 years later. 3 years. So where to start this? I'm going to call it a shit show because there's no other way to describe this. And this is where it all begins. So buckle up, people.
When you got the judge's ruling that you had been hacked, what was your reaction?
To go in there and come out and have the judge rule in our favour was obviously huge, but for him to go as far as he did with regard to, this wasn't just the individual people, this went right up to the top. This was lawyers, this was high executives, and to be able to achieve that in a trial, and that's a monumental victory.
The judge ruled in their favour, right? It was a monumental victory for them. The judge didn't just punish the Mirror. The trial went all the way to the top. It got lawyers, it got top executives. Was it a different court case? I'm sure that Harry is thinking of the Leveson inquiry, where Rupert Murdoch lost the news of the world. That was a monumental victory, and it was a win for the number of victims, multi-million-pound payouts. But no, Harry's little case against the Mirror was apparently the monumental victory. Yes, Harry put in 115 articles to say that he was hacked. Out of those, the judge allowed 33 of them to be put forward, and Harry got granted basically a win on 15 of them. At the very beginning, before the court case had begun, the Mirror actually held up its hands and said, yes, historically we are aware that we were involved in the phone hacking scandal. That's why we've paid out millions to previous people as part of the Leveson inquiry. And not only that, they did an apology to Prince Harry. So it was very obvious that Harry was going to win a few of these, because the Mirror actually turned around and said at the beginning, hands up, yes, we did. So for Harry to be implying that he's the sole reason why this happened, the only thing monumental about this is his ego. What the judge actually said was Harry had been hacked to a moderate extent. As I said, this big crusade that he's on, he's trying to pat himself on the back here saying, we did it, I managed to achieve all of this. And to be fair, Harry, most of that got dismissed before you agreed to take a payout. It gets better.
To what extent do you think that your determination to fight the tabloids destroyed the relationship with your family?
Now, straight away here, this is a leading question from her, because everybody remembers, everybody knows that Harry had already destroyed the relationship with his family, or very much had started to destroy it, before he decided to file this case.
That's a hard question to answer, because anything I say about my family results in a torrent of abuse from the press.
Again, here we go, the media, no accountability for the fact that he's the one that trashed his family. No, every time I talk about my family, I get an onslaught of negative press. Well, stop saying negative stuff about your family. Stop lying and being caught out for it. Stop putting lots of baseless accusations out into the world and then trying to backpedal them.
I believe that, again, from a service standpoint, and when you're in a public role, that these are the things that we should be doing for the greater good. But I'm doing this for my reasons.
I've made it clear this is what needs to be done. My family that are leading a life of public service and duty, this is what they should be doing with their time for the greater good, like what I'm doing. Oh, can we all please crowdfund and buy Harry a cape? Now listen again, this is where the reporter has definitely been fed questions for Harry to get his swipes at his family across.
What do you think of their decision not to fight in the way that you have?
That question is complete and utter bullshit because everybody knows that Catherine and William did fight Murdoch. They were part of the Leveson inquiry. Not only that, it was Prince William complaining to Scotland Yard when he worked out that his voicemails were being hacked that started the chain of events that ended up with the Leveson inquiry. Catherine and William won a payout. They gave their payout to the Invictus Games. Over $500,000 went towards Harry's own foundation. Yet Harry, he never admits that, does he? He never brings it up. No, if anything, the only time he brought up the fact that his brother had a payout, he did it in one of his court cases, and he made it sound like that Prince William had taken a backhander off of the media to not continue the lawsuits. Remember, his family are in bed with the press. Harry has turned into quite the deceptive snake, hasn't he? Next question. Well, firstly, it confirms the fact that they have been fed certain questions so Harry can obviously continue making digs at the royal family, because that, to be fair, is what is making the majority of people tune into this. This is why Harry is the poster boy for it. They want to know what mud he's going to continue to sling at the royals.
What do you think of their decision not to fight in the way that you have?
I think everything that's played out has shown people what the truth of the matter is.
It's shown the people the truth. People, I'm presuming that you mean members of the public. What Harry is implying here, which Harry and Meghan do, they imply, they don't say the exact words, but we know exactly what the hidden meaning is. He's saying that everybody can see now the fact that my family, I've said that I would hope that we could be doing it together, but the fact that they're not joining in this fight, they're not standing up to the media, it shows that my previous accusations that my family are in fact in bed with the media. It is the exact same narrative that he pushed in Spare, that he did on Oprah, that he did on Netflix, he did on his book campaign trail, that he did to People magazine, Bryony Gordon, you name it. Harry has done so many different interviews, all the same, always attacking his family, and he has always said one by one that they are in bed with the media. So why is he now saying my family should be fighting alongside me? Sorry, Harry, you spent the past 4 years trying to convince the public that they are part of the problem alongside the media. Everybody's against you. It's the men in grey suits. As I said, the cheese is slowly sliding off that boy's cracker. So as for Harry saying that it's actually the media's fault, the reason why there's a rift in the royal family, they were the central reason why there is a rift. That's where the gaslighting comes in. Harry is expecting all of us to forget that he did Oprah, that he did Netflix. Like I said, all of those other things that he's done, the podcasts, the stories of cruelty, racism, abandonment, the fact that he begged his family to help Meghan when she was suicidal and wanted to kill their unborn child, and the royal family coldly refused. They left him to it. They had to escape and flee for their very lives. Everything that Harry and Meghan had thrown at the royal family, That obviously, naturally, not mentioned. That's been completely forgotten. Well, in these two little excerpts anyway. I dread to think what tonight is going to bring. As I said, I know that I shouldn't be shocked by any of this. We knew he was going to do the Diana card. We knew that he was going to attack his family. Obviously, it's a given. We've got the t-shirt. In fact, we've got so many t-shirts from Harry doing his rinse and repeat. We could probably open our own department store. We know the sort of things that he's going to come out with. But this, to say that the central reason why there's a rift in the royal family is because he wants to fight the media and his family don't. Honestly, I don't know whether to laugh. I don't know whether to send help for him. Are you okay, Harry? He needs a different sort of therapist, because clearly he's delusional if he thinks that this is going to make the public suddenly change their minds about him and Meghan, that we're going to forget everything that they've done, every accusation that they have directed at that family, and we are now meant to believe that the central problem in the rift between him and his family is the media. There is definitely, without a doubt, a central problem between Harry, the rest of the world, his family, the UK, and he chose to marry her. So guys, I say I'm not looking forward to watching this. There's a bit of me that is as well, because I honestly am fascinated by what he's going to come out with next. The fact that he is trying to gaslight us after absolutely everything, to try and pretend that the last few years haven't happened. As I said, he's now on par with his wife. They can keep trying to rewrite history, and it would be okay if they hadn't done Netflix and Spare and all the other interviews and TV documentaries. We've seen it and heard it for ourselves. So guys, that's it for me on this video. I will be back with you very soon. I'm up to something exciting tonight, and I will tell you about it tomorrow. Take care for now. Bye.